he's downstairs. We just want to make sure we have a separate recording for the special meeting.
Commissioners? Okay, commissioners, we're ready to call to order a specially called meeting of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. We'll start in about a minute. Hopefully, we've got 7 or more commissioners on here.
Chairman, will you allow me to do a roll call once you start?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's too pretty to be working today, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
I can't hear you, Commissioner Jones.
I said, tell me about it. I'm working in 2 spots.
I am
By
too.
being at one.
I am too.
It's like I was the only one that wore a tie today.
Yeah, we're all casual. I'm trying to look like Mikkel. You noticed?
Yeah.
Hey, I like the look. I like the look, Chairman.
I'm looking like Santa Claus. Santa Claus in
It's a
April.
good look. It's a good look, Chairman.
I sure looking forward to days when we get back together in person.
Right.
Yeah.
You're here.
Well, let's pray for COVID relief.
Yeah, we
Amen.
need some good hot weather.
Right.
I do appreciate everything everybody's doing. I hope y'all know that, and we'll get through this. Okay. We call to order the Shelby County Board of Commissioners, Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. We only have one item on the agenda today. We're going to first call the roll.
Chairman.
Yes.
I think the parliamentarian wants me to formally suspend one more time to make sure that everything's right before we call everything to order, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right, so just
Parliamentarian,
everything appropriate. I'd like to move formally.
I think we may need to call Rosalind. Do you think
Yes,
we need to call the roll first, or so that we can establish that there's a quorum in order to
Yes, ma'am.
just?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Turner?
I'm present.
Okay. Morrison?
Present.
Sawyer? Commissioner Sawyer?
Present.
Okay, thank you. Whaley?
Present.
Wright? Milton? Brooks?
Present.
Bradford? Ford?
Present.
Mills?
Present.
Lowry?
Present.
Jones?
Present.
And Chairman Billingsley.
present.
We have 11 present.
That's great. Commissioner Ford, would you help us here?
Yes, sir. I would like to move to formally suspend the rules, specifically Permanent Rule 36, which is special meetings, notice requirements for the purposes of having the special call meeting to consider the item concerning the $2 million allocation for COVID-19. There we go. I so move.
Moved by Commissioner Ford. Do we have a second?
Turner second.
Take it, Lowry.
Turner seconded. Do we need to, can we do that without objection, or parliamentarian, do we need to put that to a documented vote?
You can do that without objection.
Okay, Commissioners, without objection, we suspend the rules and call to order the specially called meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Thank you so much, Commissioner Ford. Parliamentarian, would you read item number 1?
Item 1 is an ordinance fixing the tax rate for Shelby County at $4.05 for the tax year 2020, sponsored by Commissioner Eddie S. Jones Jr. Ordinance first reading.
Very good. Is our CFO on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, this, for the listening public and for people who may not be familiar, we're calling the specially called meeting of the Board of Commissioners today because we are trying to follow our budget calendar, which was aggressive. Ms. Crosby, can you please share with us that this is the same property tax rate as last year and anything else you want to share?
This is the same property tax rate as last year. It is $4.05 in total. And this is the first reading of that. There have been no changes to this from last year at this time.
Excuse me. I apologize, but Mr. Chairman, this is for the COVID-19 item. I think the wrong thing was read.
Right. Yeah, I was
Oh.
about to say that because we get this on Monday.
Yes.
We'll get this item on Monday. I went down with a favorable recommendation and
Oh,
the only
sorry. Okay, I got
Okay.
confused. Sorry.
Parliamentarian, let's read item number 1.
Okay, Rosalind, how do we remove that from the record?
I'm not sure. I will leave that to you.
let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
If I pull it off of this special meeting, it's
It's
still,
not, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Budget Chairman, it's not on this agenda that has been posted. It's only the COVID item. She read the wrong item.
okay.
No, I did. I thought that we were doing the tax ordinance. I apologize. So, the
Well,
sponsor
I-
can withdraw it.
Yeah, I moved to withdraw it because it didn't give the proper notification and we'll just
But
see it
you
on
can just
Monday.
withdraw it as a sponsor.
I'm withdrawing it as a sponsor.
Okay. So I'm reading the original item 3 from hospitals and health.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The amended one that Marcy sent.
Okay, let me pull that up. Uh-uh.
She sent it at 1:56.
At 1:56.
Yes, ma'am.
So. All right. Let's see. Okay. Item 1 is a resolution to amend the FY 2020 general operating budget to fund expansion of COVID-19 testing locations within the core city and to fund emergency materials to support efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in Shelby County. This item requires the appropriation of up to $2 million from the general fund balance budget, sponsored by Chair Pro Tempore Eddie S. Jones Jr., Commissioner Tammy Sawyer, Commissioner Mick Wright, Commissioner Vandy Turner Jr., Commissioner Michael Whaley, Commissioner Mikkel Lowry, Commissioner Reginald Milton, Commissioner Willie F. Brooks Jr., Commissioner David Bradford, Commissioner Amber Mills, Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr., and Chairman Mark Billings.
So moved. We need a chairman.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Can we accept that without a objection? Okay, can I get a staff report, please? I mean, excuse me, can I get a committee report, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. This item came before committee and received a positive recommendation.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Mr. Gilliam, would you like to make a comment on this item?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the administration, we definitely agree with the commission and that there are tremendous needs as it relates to PPE as well as the expansion of testing. But we would ask that the commission consider amending the resolution to consider some additional needs as part of the $1 million allocation, which would include funding for overtime as well as funding for the Community Services Division, who is working to meet the needs of the community.
Okay. Mr. Gilliam, I emailed out to the commissioners the detailed list. Commissioners, do you have the $2 million worth of itemized needs for COVID-19? Mr. Gilliam, could you go through these expenses for us and for any individuals that are possibly hearing this on the radio that don't have access to a screen? I thought the detailed list was very well done. So can you take us through what you're proposing with details and what the amounts are?
Oh, absolutely. The first item would be PPE. I think we're asking that $848,245 be allocated for these PPE items, which range from surgical masks to N95 masks to Tyvek suits to goggles to non-contact thermometers to gloves to hand sanitizers and the like. Again, totaling $848,245. We're also asking that funding be approved for the Community Services Division. We would need $500,000 for the COVID relief program and $328,000 for workers, bilingual translator, totaling $828,028. We are also in need of overtime for Homeland Security, Office of Emergency Management, as well as the Shelby County Health Department, the amount of $315,571. The grand total on this is $1,991,844, and we would be amenable to also amending the resolution to include an additional $500,000 so we can include the expansion of testing as part of this resolution.
Okay. So the administration's request, what's on the floor at this time is $2 million, but the administration is asking $5 million. And that extra $500,000 would be for additional COVID testing, which I think a lot of commissioners have spoken pretty eloquently about the need, especially for those persons who are disproportionately affected. So commissioners, let me go into the queue. If you would like to speak, if you just go into the queue, if you turn your cameras on if you want to speak, and if you're not speaking, if you turn your cameras off. So let me go into the queue. Very good. First up is Commissioner Stevie Sawyer. Commissioner Sawyer, you have the floor.
What's going on, Cece?
Hi.
Are you muted?
Thank you.
I'm not.
Yes,
The amendments need to be properly moved on the floor. I apologize. I have kids making a lot of noise back here, so I apologize that I am.
that's what I was about to do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sawyer, you're recognized.
Really hard on this over the last 2 weeks, and I just wanted to state that again. And so at the request of the administration, I'm happy to make this amendment so that we can, get this done. but I just feel the need to reiterate that I put a lot of time and elbow work into us getting to this point. And that I talked to every commissioner and the administration. When I did talk to the administration, I said 1.5 to the administration and then 500,000 to Christ community. Nothing changed there. But I will make an amendment that the fund go from 2 million to 2.5 million, with 2 million going to the administration for the purchase of PPEs, overtime, and other items. And so, what was the third category, Dewan? PPEs, overtime, and
We're trying to support the community, to provide services within the community. And I can give you a list of those items to include 3 additional positions.
so right now the resolution says 1.5 million to the administration. Ms. Hobson, it says 1.5 million to Director Jones' department, EMS. I'd like to amend that to 2 million to be used towards PPE purchases, comma, community service, COVID items, comma, and overtime related to COVID, period. Or COVID related overtime.
Commissioner Sawyer,
Plus.
Commissioner Sawyer, that's in the form of,
Right, so I just want to make sure that Lee has it. 2.5 million is the amendment. Right, 2 million towards those 3, 500,000 to Christ community.
okay, that's in the form
May
of a
we get a
motion.
second? May we get a second, please?
I second it forward.
Seconded by Commissioner Ford. I've got a question of Mr. Gilliam, and if the commissioner and the staff could please mute their microphones. Mr. Gilliam, in your detailed document, you say COVID relief program, $500,000. Specifically, tell me what that is underneath community services.
It's just providing aid to the community. It's a variety of things, from meals to shelter to whatever needs. We identify the needs in the community. Obviously,
Okay.
the 3 positions, we do expect to continue to receive funding by way of the federal government as well as state government. And those 3 positions will assist us in managing and distributing those funds throughout the community.
Mr. Gilliam, as chairman, I would just ask you, if this passes today, that we do everything we can to the letter of the law to be sure that every one of these items gets reimbursement if possible. I think that goes without saying, and I know y'all will do that, but I want to be on the record saying, if we can be sure every one of these items, to the best of our ability, is applied for reimbursement.
Absolutely. Based on conversations that we've had with TAMA, we believe that each and every one of these items should qualify for reimbursement, with the exception of the matching dollars that the county would be asked to provide.
Okay. Again, this item was moved by Commissioner Sawyer, seconded by Commissioner Ford. I'm going to go into the queue. Are there any commissioners that would like to be recognized at this time? Commissioner Ford, you have the floor.
I'll be very quick. One question. We know that when we had Dr. Jane as well as Dr. Haushalter a few weeks ago, let us know that whatever we have right now, at minimum, we would need 3 times as much PPE. Will this take care of what we need to do as far as what the medical experts have said? Or will we have to come back again, most likely either during this budget process or after the budget is passed. I'm asking because I like to go ahead and be prepared either way.
I think at the end of the day, Commissioner Ford, I believe it's going to be difficult, even though we're doing everything we can to predict surge. Obviously, we don't know if this virus is going to come back in the fall. We're hoping that we reach our peak again, sometimes late May, early June. Not knowing a whole lot about this virus, we could very well run out of PPE, especially if this virus comes back in the fall. But we believe that the $848,000 that we are considering as we speak should take care of most of those PPE needs to get us through the next few months. I'm receiving orders every day that I am deferring or referring people out to Director Jones's office to get those orders filled. Obviously, we have a lot of PPE that's still on order, but we are getting orders in as we speak, whether it's directly to EMA by way of TEMA or through the city of Memphis, who we have worked hand in hand with to secure and to distribute PPE throughout Shelby County.
All right, because I know that the munis, the 7, have done their due diligence with the lack of information. And I will agree with you to the extent that we don't know what's really going to happen in May and June. But what we disagree is that we're doing everything that we can do. I'm not going to go back through the historical context. I'm just going to simply say that the document that I see that itemizes where everything's going to go, that's one of the first items that I asked you and others to possibly help me get with, as far as that item that did not pass a week ago. So we may disagree, but I have to say it for the record, we do what we want to do when we want to do it. And if I was able to get that information then, which we were able to do, it would have been more palatable for me to consider, not necessarily vote on that other item. But because I didn't get it in a fashion, I would have been willing to help out. This is where we're at now. So I'm just going to say for the record, we do what we want to do when we want to do it. So I hope in conclusion that somebody's title that does not begin with a C and end in an O can help me get to where I need to get as far as whether it's this pandemic or anything budgetary. And that's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you. We've heard from a couple of commissioners. Are there any new commissioners before I go back around again on this item? And again, this item was amended to $2.5 million. You have a list of expenditures in front of you, in addition to the funding for additional coronavirus testing. Is there any other commissioner, or I'm going to go back in the queue? Commissioner Morrison, we haven't heard from you yet. Commissioner Morrison.
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute myself.
Okay.
Thank you both for presenting on this. I'm going to have to abstain, obviously, for all the support we can get out into the community, but I don't feel like we have enough clarity on the federal guidelines as it relates to supporting grant recipients. And I just am not comfortable until we have more guidance. I listened to several hours about the CARES Act on Friday, and what I learned, the city of Memphis will get close to 70% of the funding, and it's not clear to me what the county will receive. And so for that reason, I feel like until we can better coordinate with the city, and really that's what we need to be doing, is have a joint effort, I feel like, with this ordinance or resolution. So for that reason, I'm going to abstain. I just wanted to explain my reasoning. I would like to see more joint work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Morrison. CAO Gilliam, there is a lot of misinformation out there as it relates to the flow throughs and how much money the city of Memphis is going to get, how much money the county is going to get. By Monday, can you bring more clarity to that? Is that possible?
Absolutely. Let me respond by saying we have reached out to the city of Memphis and asked if they would be willing to allow Shelby County to directly apply for the CARES Act dollars. Obviously, they declined and indicated that there was no benefit in doing that. So they made application yesterday. We made application today. The deadline is this Friday. What I will say, it doesn't matter whether or not the city is entitled to 50 million or Shelby County is entitled to 30 million. We're going to have to show the expenses in order to receive those dollars. I mean, if we receive more than what we have expenses, if I'm not mistaken, and I think Marlene may be tuning in, she has thoroughly researched this. I mean, this is not free money. I mean, we have to have the expenses at the end of the day. So if we have the expenses, I think we can spend the dollars that Shelby County is entitled to. That includes the municipalities within Shelby County, excluding the city of Memphis. And if the city of Memphis is entitled to 50, they're gonna have to show $50 million in expenses at the end of the day.
Do
Mr.
we have
Gilliam,
guidance that the, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead, Commissioner Morrison.
Do we have guidance from the federal government as to giving to an agency such as been suggested? I know they'll do great work, but is there guidance that that's allowable?
I mean, for the purpose of this discussion, I would make sure that we come prepared Monday to provide you all the information that's available through the Department of Treasury regarding the CARES Act. And hopefully we can answer all those questions.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Moore, okay. CAO Gilliam, as you well are aware, because you're here full time, Shelby County government represents 7 municipalities.
Correct.
7 municipalities, not just the city of Memphis. I just want to be sure it's clear and it's on the record. So the county did request to apply with the city of Memphis, and they chose not to do that. It was best for them to do their own thing.
There is not, to the best of my knowledge, there's not a joint application process.
Okay, well, that makes it different then. I thought you said y'all had wanted to apply together and they had said no.
No, we asked to be the lead on the application because the way it's worded, if the county has a population of over $500,000 and the city has a population of over 500,000 individuals, excuse me if I said dollars, 500,000 residents, then they both can apply, or one can yield to the other. The city of Memphis chose not to yield to Shelby County government. They made application yesterday. We made our application today.
And I assume that your application will say 900,000 citizens, correct?
I think the count is closer to 940,000. I think the city of Memphis has just over 650,000. So we both qualify.
You know, the numbers for all of this, commissioners, are so large. This is not a time to be on the defense. I think we've got to be on the offense, just like we have to be on the offense and fighting the virus. We also have to be on the offense in terms of our own fiscal accountability and the protection of all the citizens of Shelby County. Mr. Gilliam, at this time, we do not have a county lobbyist formally. I'm not necessarily saying we need a lobbyist, but we certainly need a direct expert, in my opinion, who's in DC, who can help us disseminate all of this information. Do you feel like internally we have the resources with you and just a handful of other people, with our emergency management director and Dr. Haushalter, to deal with this? Or do the commissioners need to consider basically getting a paid hired gun to be sure we are securing every resource we can? It's sort of like in my world, I've been in fundraising for charities my entire life. And there's certainly times when it's good to hire a consultant to help you secure grants, as an example. Do we need an expert at this point? Because again, we are talking about a lot of zeros in terms of our expenses. So I put that out.
and I wish Marlon or Megan would chime in. I believe we have boots on the ground in DC working on behalf of Shelby County. But I would need Marlon to confirm that. We did have a call with about 8 other counties across the nation that was in the same predicament as Shelby County. And there was an individual that was on the line who stated that they were on the line on behalf of Shelby County. But without Marlon or Megan confirming that, I can only say that I'm almost 100% certain that we do have boots on the ground in DC working on behalf of Shelby County as it relates to the CARES Act.
We have, commissioners, you know this, we have very good congressmen and senators in DC right now, and all of them have been, at least for me, it's been fairly easy to get them on the phone or to reach out to their chiefs of staff. But again, I just think it's something we should consider. Is either the county attorney, is the county attorney available, or they?
I think Marlon is trying to chime in as we speak.
Go right ahead.
Chairman, this is Megan.
Okay, go right ahead.
To the best of my knowledge, we have been communicating with a lobbyist. I'm trying to confirm right now whether that is our state lobbyist or one at the federal level. And I understand too that Marlene is actively trying to get on to advise you of that. So if you had just a moment for her to go live.
Yeah, we have time if she's available. I mean, we know who our state lobbyist is, and they've done a good job for us this year. And certainly Commissioner Mills has been intimately involved, talking with them, advocating for things for us this year. But Ms. Iverson, are you on the line?
Can you hear her?
Yeah. Yes, go right ahead.
Chairman Billingsley, I think your question is whether or not we have activated anybody, a legislative affairs person, to assist the county. We don't have anyone enrolled or signed up properly with the federal government, but we have been utilizing on a state level the same attorneys that helped us with the private act amendment to the hotel motel tax last year.
Okay. Could we do this? As chairman, could I get with Dewan and the mayor before Monday and we just talk through this? And again, commissioners, I welcome your feedback. I'll go back in the queue. But again, this is an unprecedented time for us, and this one commissioner is not. I'm not adverse to spending a few dollars to be sure we get our portion of the recovery dollars that we need. Let me go to the queue. I've spoken long enough. Commissioner Amber Mills.
Thank you, Chairman Billingsley. I just wanted to speak to the numbers, the percentages. It sounds like Commissioner Morrison was on the same NACO conference call that I was, and there's also Department of the Interior conference calls. There's so much information and there's so many conference calls that we can sit in on to listen to this, not locally, but nationally. The numbers are all over the place when it comes to reimbursement for the county. And a lot of the numbers that are thrown out, they're kind of floated out, and it's tricky to figure out the appropriate to spend on that you'll get reimbursed on. But as far as the $500,000 for testing, people need to be tested. We've got to spend this money, whether we get reimbursed or not. We're talking life or death here, and our county needs us. I will be supporting this for that very reason, but getting a definite answer is hard right now because everything changes almost minute by minute with this. But I encourage my colleagues, there's so much information out there on the NACO.org and the conference calls to that. But for the answer for Commissioner Morrison about reimbursement, I'm not sure you're going to get that answer, but I will be supporting this because it's got to be funded. Now, my choice would have been for this to have happened with the mayor, if he had put a little more work on the front end, we would not have to be dealing with this at all. And I am still very frustrated from Monday's meeting. That was an embarrassment, I think, to everyone that day. But that should have been a slam dunk for the mayor. If a little more effort would have been in, it would have happened then, and we wouldn't be dealing with this here, going to the rainy day fund. But we've got to move. We've got to move, and that's really all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mills. I'm going to stay in the queue. My friend, Commissioner Van Turner.
Thank you.
Van Turner.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you, Mr. Chairman. I know that previous to now, we were utilizing the services of Mr. G.S. Proctor. I think his contract ran out, but I believe Mr. Proctor was helpful in getting us the transportation grant. And I think that may have been around maybe $8 to $10 million as far as as well as other funding he was able to procure for us. But I believe his contract has expired. And we did meet with a new team in DC the last time we were there. However, I don't think they've yet to be retained. So in other words, I think that I think now more than ever, we probably need boots on the ground. And so I would support whatever effort you undertake, Mr. Chair, Madam Legislative Affairs Chair. And these are dollars that are critical to addressing the pandemic crisis. And I think that having those boots on the ground would be critical in making sure that we get those reimbursements. And all of my personal interactions and all that I observed from Mr. Proctor have been positive. And the team that we met with in DC just recently, that was positive. I think that was at our last NACO policy. So I think we've at least heard from a group, and we utilized a group in the past, which and either one of those groups would be more than capable to assisting us in DC. So I just wanted to put that on the floor and jet that into the conversation and dialogue. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam County Attorney. Appreciate it.
Very good. Well, I'll take that under council, Commissioner Turner. And again, as chairman, I'll get with the administration between now and Monday and with our legislative chair and have a conversation. Again, I don't want to misrepresent where we are. Again, I think Senator Alexander, Senator Blackburn, Congressman Kustoff, and Congressman Cohen have been very kind with their time and with their staff time. But I do think we've got to get a better understanding of how the county will fit into this, and as well, NACO, who we all have a high appreciation of, I know must have some additional resources that we can reach out to as well, because we're like a lot of other counties that are facing a similar situation with a large municipality. Ms. Iverson, were you wanting to be recognized again? I can't hear you. Let's go to Commissioner Edmund Ford.
Let me just go ahead and say, look, glad we got here. Thank you all. First, Commissioner Billingsley for making sure that we got this special call meeting. And for commissioners that have stayed on, that have had the time to stay on. We've done an entire work day since we started at 8:30. It's about 4 o'clock now. I'm glad that we were able to get this done. Fingers crossed. And Commissioner Sawyer, thank you. I expressed the same concern as before. And unless we have another commissioner that wants to speak, the only other person I would say thank you is my colleague who I'm not able to sit down next to, and that's Commissioner Amber Mills. Everything you said, I miss sitting next to you because of those things. Some people may not necessarily agree, but I think you were spot on 100%. And if Mr. Chair, we don't have anybody else, I'd like to move the previous question unless we can get Ms. Iverson.
Very good. Ms. Iverson, I'm so sorry, but we can't hear from you and the question has been called.
I thought we had some amendments. Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Let me go back in the queue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to wrap it up, Commissioners. Commissioner Sawyer. Commissioner Sawyer, you have the floor.
Thank you. I had asked to be in the queue a few people ago, but thank you. I do appreciate putting the meeting together. What I did want to share is that Governor Lee just called for school to be closed through the rest of the school year, and that's going to have a big impact on our county. That's going to have a big impact on the people the students, especially in the youth, that need to be fed, and just the families that are going to have to figure out if they have to go back to work, how to take care of kids. And I really think 2.5 million is a small fund for a county of our size. If I could have got it passed, I would have written a resolution for 10 million. But this is a start. And I understand, the need to be fiscally responsible and make sure that we're getting reimbursements and things like that. But I just want to go on the record and say that if we don't get folks tested, we're going to be paying for worse things, and we're going to have expenses that we can't escape. And so I still stand by this resolution. I stand by the intent. And we'll even try to get more money towards this effort. Just last week we gave $150,000 to the Community Foundation, which has $1 million plus fund, and people give to that all the time. Without our money, they would have been fine. We didn't question whether or not they needed additional funding, and this is just super serious. And I just urge everyone to go forward and support it, and the mayor to sign today so that we can have this happen. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Can I go to the parliamentarian? There were a number of commissioners that wanted to be sponsors on this. Just to be sure we've covered everybody, would you please repeat the sponsors of this item?
Okay. Pull it back up. Hold on 1 second. Okay. The sponsors are, make sure this is the COVID. Chair Pro Tempore, Eddie S. Jones Jr., Commissioner Tammy Sawyer, Commissioner McWright, Commissioner Vandy Turner Jr., Commissioner Michael Whaley, Commissioner Mikhail Lowry, Commissioner Reginald Milton, Commissioner Willie F. Brooks Jr., Commissioner David Bradford, Commissioner Amber Mills, Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr., and Chairman Mark Billingsley.
Okay, very good. Are there any other commissioners wishing to be added as a sponsor of this item before we bring it to the question was called earlier by Commissioner Ford? Anyone else?
I'm going to wait till Monday just to hear my answers as best we can. Thank you.
There is no Monday on this one. This is it.
Now, this is Monday for this item.
Yeah.
Okay, so this won't come on Monday at all.
Now, this is a specially called meeting for this item.
Okay, well then please add me. I'll go ahead with it.
Is there a second?
Second. I have a parliamentary question so that we can knock everything out there.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to add Commissioner Morrison, seconded by Commissioner Ford. What's the question to?
So that we can have everything straight. I remember the residency piece that passed, and what we ended up doing was, I think we had a 2/3 vote in order for it to not have to go to the next meeting regarding the minutes. So will we need to do the same thing so that we can go ahead and get this signed off by the mayor? Will we need to go ahead and do that instead of waiting for minutes after this vote?
Lee, do you or Karan want to comment on that?
I'm not sure
What's
what you're talking about.
What's the question again? Commissioner Ford?
All right, so remember when we had that third and final reading on the residency, it passed. So instead of waiting for the next commission meeting, we had a 2/3 vote for it to just go ahead and be done, and we didn't have to wait for the next meeting's minutes in order for it to be completely done. So will we need to do the same thing for this particular
I'm-
item?
Now I understand what you're saying. So you're asking for same day minutes and then we're asking for the mayor's signature.
Yes, yeah, after this vote.
Okay. Ms. Rankin, I'm familiar with this in my other lives, but does the county allow for same day minutes?
I think that's an issue involving the charter and not necessarily a permanent rule. Can we get Marcy to chime in on that?
Please. Ms. Ingram.
Marcy Ingram, County Attorney's Office. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Ingram.
Yes, I believe the minutes is just a procedural thing for you all. The charter speaks to the mayor's signature and him having up to 10 days to sign the item after he receives that from you all, which is usually 4 days after the resolution passed. Otherwise, yes, you can request that the mayor sign the item the same day. That does not affect the adoption.
I don't think the mayor's on the line, but Mr. Gilliam, could you ask the mayor for us to sign this as soon as we pass it, since we've called the specially called meeting today? And I think we've accomplished what the commissioners wanted today, as well as what the mayor wanted today.
Absolutely, and I appreciate the support of the entire Shelby County Commission, and I will get with the mayor as soon as the meeting is adjourned to see if we can get him to sign it immediately.
Okay, very good. Okay, Commissioner Ford, Rosalind, let's call the roll.
Okay. I was gonna ask a question. If I submit it tomorrow, is that fine to get a signature? That gives me time to get to the office to prepare it, to get it up to his office.
I think we're asking to get it done today, but I'll defer to the commissioners. I think all of this was to try to get it done today. There's Mr. Mayor.
I can go to the office now, if that's fine. I mean,
Yeah, he's upstairs. Here he is on the screen. Mayor Harris, good to see you. Are you okay with signing this if we can get this passed here in a few minutes?
Absolutely. I'm in the office and I'm never leaving.
Okay. Okay. I think we heard that. Rosalind, the minute you get that ready, hand it to me. I'm running it up the elevator.
okay.
Okay, let's call the roll. Mr. Mayor, don't leave without signing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Brooks.
yeah, it appears, if I'm understanding this correct, Rosalind's is working remotely.
I am, but I can go into the office to get it done, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
We will figure it out one way. We have staff here, and so we have a lot of capable staff. We'll get Rosalind on the phone and we'll do whatever we have to get a signature. Okay, so let's call the vote, my friends.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, did we make that amendment before we vote? We made the amendments, right?
We did. Everything's been done. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
No,
Turner
you're
is an
good.
aye. All right,
Hey,
Turner is an aye.
Okay. Commissioner Turner,
Turner is an aye.
Morrison,
Aye.
Sawyer,
Aye.
Whaley,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner Wright. How'd you have here? Milton,
Aye.
Brooks,
Aye.
Bradford, Ford,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Chairman Billingsley.
Aye.
And I votes from Commissioners Turner, Morrison, Sawyer, Whaley, Wright, Milton, Brooks, Ford, Mills, Lowry, Jones, and Chairman Billingsley. We have 12 I votes.
That item passes. Congratulations, commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there any other business before the Shelby County Board of Commissioners today?
Move to adjourn, Chairman.
Adjourn. We'll go back to our families now. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Talking to you right there.
Good evening.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.